G'day Bomber fans, big win, really good win, comeback, close game against a pretty good team. There's been a lot of talk about the Essendon edge, and I think we saw what it actually was on Saturday afternoon. That was a really pleasing game, going to be a fun review. Plenty to like, a bit to dislike. Make sure you leave your votes in the comments, 3, 2, 1 Brownlow style, and also your role player of the match as well. Tough week for votes, some really good players. Alrighty, recap time. The Saints were on early. We looked genuinely horrible those first few minutes. We lost every clearance early. They gained territory so easily and exposed our defense. I actually thought we were in for a very long day. They kicked 4 of the first 5 goals, and we did manage to scrape a few back, which was important, but early signs were not good. The second quarter wasn't even that much better. If we're being honest, I feel like we managed to piece together a more consistent, high-level footy at times, but I still saw us as the second best team on the field. They were keeping us in it a bit with their dodgy goal kicking, 5 goals 3 to 6-8 at halftime, 14 scoring shots to 8, but only trailed by 2 goals. The third quarter for me is when momentum really started to turn in our favour. We started to pile on entries, gain more ascendancy in stoppages and centre bounces, really pile on chances as well. It isn't that telling on the scoreboard, similar scores, but we did look a lot better. You started to see Merritt get involved, Langford was big, important players really started to get into the contest. The last term, that was awesome. I was obviously nervous the whole time, how could you not be, but I was really confident that we would get the job done. We were all over them at stages, we were defending for dear life, but we were just the better team. It all led up to a Stringer's 55 to 60 metre set shot with 5 minutes to go, clutch, ice in his veins, and then from there we just had to hold on, which we obviously did, or I would be in a very bad mood. So how did we win this game of footy? For me, this was a game of 2 halves. The first was the Saints. They were well on top. I thought they should have been ahead by more, to be honest, but we really did all we could to will this win home. Pure effort. I think we were lacking that Essendon edge early in the game, but when we sniffed a win, we really came for it, and when that was happening, we looked a lot better than them. They kept us in the game with bad conversion early, but I think that first half was us trying to keep in touch with St. Kilda, and the second half was us really storming home and almost scaring them, especially late. They were hanging on for dear life. We looked a lot better as a team late in the game. Isolate that second half, we were the better side. It wasn't a 4-quarter game, and I should also say it wasn't a pretty game. It was messy, it was open, it was really frustrating at times, but I think we just had more in the tank. We beat them where it mattered most, and at the end of the day, we were the better team when it mattered most as well. The Saints have already choked a couple of games this year. We played red time a lot better. It's an issue of theirs and possibly a strength of ours. It suited us. Now, I was at the game, so I wasn't recording facts and figures like I usually do, but at one stage, I think we were down 0 to 5 clearances. It wasn't looking good at all because the midfield is where I thought the game would be decided. So to be down bad early, it had me thinking it would be a long day. We completely reversed that in the end, though. We had 5 more clearances overall, had almost double the amount of centre clearances. The second half in particular, I don't have the stats, but it felt like a monumental shift in the guts. You saw Steele start to fall out of the game and Merritt start to really get into it. There was a complete shift in the guts, and it really helped us gain much needed territory in a fast-paced match. I did think the game would be played out with a lot more congestion around the footy. I was hoping for it to be played that way because that's how I thought we were going to win, but it was a rebounding ping-pong-like match. The ball was bouncing around all over the place. It was fast-paced, often exciting, but really messy. The efficiency was at a low, and I think that's what almost helped us. If this was a clean game out of defense, we probably would be talking about this very differently. It helped us defend the transitioning footy because they were just not good with ball in hand, and to be fair, neither were we, but I think that when talking about efficiency, a game with a low percentage would favour us. We saw what happens when a team is kicking well last week against the Swans, but St. Kilda did help us out with their kicking. It wasn't a very professional performance from them, or from either team really, from an efficiency viewpoint, but I think that it highlighted the effort and determination even more. When a game is that scrappy, it comes down to who wants it more, and we simply were hungrier for that win and hotter around the contest. We had them a bit rattled at times, especially late. Neither side was what you would call good or great. You wouldn't win a grand final playing like that, but we were better, and that is all that matters at the end of the day. If anything, it's more pleasing winning games when you aren't necessarily playing amazing footy. Despite efficiency being at a low for most of this game, I think we were still the cleaner side, and that mattered a lot, especially in front of goals. I reckon if the Saints were kicking straight early, we'd be talking about this game being a missed opportunity due to a slow start. It's funny how a few behinds can change the outlook of a game. We were 22 points down at one stage, but it probably should have been 5 or 6 goals down. St. Kilda kept us in the game because of poor use and conversion, and I think you could tell how deflating that was because we started kicking goals that they should have been kicking themselves, and we were up and about. That Stringer finish to win the game is a prime example. You can't really name a St. Kilda player that would have had the ice to do that on Saturday. We were just built better for the close game, and I think it's because of our goal kickers. I don't feel anxious watching Langford or Stringer walk into goal. Same with Jones Jones when confident, to be honest. And we're missing Wright as well, another proven goal kicker. We have some great set shot takers. They lacked that type of player who we had plenty of. I thought our back six held up really well. That was a really impressive performance, and my votes are going to reflect that. We defended the moving footy a lot better, although I think the low scoreline kind of hides the issues. There were times in that first half especially when they were way too relaxed in rebounding, but when the pressure lifted around the ground it helped, and it also helps that every defender won his direct matchup. I thought Mackay was brilliant, Laverty lifted after a sloppy start. I thought Heppel, McGrath and Martin were all awesome. Even Nick Cox was really impressive despite being out-muscled by Membry once or twice. I thought our back six showed theirs up a bit, if I'm being honest, because Langford and Stringer, they had a massive impact on the game, whereas the forwards who kicked goals for them only really managed to do so because of lapses or acts of brilliance. I thought overall our defense was a lot better, both from a one-on-one point of view and a rebounding nature. I talked last week about fringe players not playing their role. I think they must have heard me because they were up and about. Jones came in late. He was not even supposed to play. He came in because of Setterfield's injury, and he had a really good game. I love to see him flying for marks like that. Laverty was solid. Hind as the sub, I really liked that. I think we've all been wanting Hind to play the sub role more, especially forward of the ball where his chaos can't directly lead to opposition goals. That forward chaos was big late in the game. I would only name a few players who had down matches. Gresham was poor, unfortunately, but after his first 2 weeks, you can't really be too mad. I'm still a bit unsure about how Goldstein fits into the team with Draper there. And Jai Menzies, this is the worrying one for me. He just isn't having much of an impact at all. I honestly think he should probably be facing a drop. I would much rather see Guelphy return when he's fit, or even Davey at this rate, because right now Menzies isn't providing enough for us in the forward line. It's weird to see after how prominent he was for us last year. I guess we can talk negatives now. Some things to worry about. Setterfield pulling up sore and not starting. We will be hoping to see him play next week against a big Port midfield. Dersma came off injured late in the game. He hurt his wrist or elbow in that match-saving effort near the goal line. And Durham is the big one. Concussion, so he will miss the Port game, but also potentially a shoulder injury. So hopefully those are all best case scenarios. I'd hate to see more injuries. Another negative is that slow start. We can't afford to be doing that next week against a really good team in Port Adelaide. I don't rate St. Kilda as a top 4 or 6 contender. I think we exposed them there a little bit and sent their fans back down to earth. But if we start that poorly against Port next week, or even Carlton down the track, or GWS, we lose the game. And it's as simple as that. We're lucky we were playing a decent team, not a great one. I also think the message goes for our efficiency. We are lucky that they were equally as poor at us as us at times. If we were using the ball that poorly against GWS, we would face another belting like last year. It's a very pleasing game, but not perfect. All in all, though, it is a good win. If you told me it would be a low-scoring game built off efficiency and defense, I would think it's a recipe for a Saints win, but we got the job done. We proved another way we can win a game of footy. We showed grit, hunger, determination. I really enjoyed that game. Those are the games you look back on at the end of the year and smile about. Those tight, hard-fought wins. We need to maintain this form. We're playing good footy right now. Really impressive. Let's just make sure we don't slip up in the next few weeks. We got Port, the Bulldogs, and the Crows. Winnable games. I'd love us to see 1 or 2 wins from that stretch to lead into Anzac Day in the 8. That would be great. Good win, fun game of footy. Let's get on to the votes. Alrighty, the votes. It's really tough to choose this week. I just want to say that first so you guys don't hate me. I had about 8 players listed down in my notes, and I hope I don't look like a fool for missing a few of them out. You guys will probably get it right, though, in the comments. I have faith. 1 vote to Zach Merritt, who was yet again inspirational at times for us in the guts. The energy he brought in the midfield was outstanding. 2 votes to Dyson Heppel. Amazing game. I really loved that performance. His intercept marking was awesome. The way he floated into contests much taller than him and managed to hold the pill. He was really good, proving the haters wrong. Having a great year so far. But 3 votes to Andy McGrath. I think this will probably be unpopular because he, like Heppel, is a bit of a whipping boy across the Essendon fan base. But I thought that was one of his very best games for the club. 30-odd touches. Poor efficiency at times, but we talk about what won us the game. We got effort, we got rebounding, intercepting, not losing contests. That's what McGrath's game was to a T. He led the ground for inside 50s, had the joint most intercept possessions with Mackay, kicked an important goal, had another assist. I thought McGrath exemplified what the so-called Essendon edge is in that match. My role player of the match is Xavier Dersma as well, who also has that Essendon edge, as we call it. I thought he was brilliant. He was winning heaps of the ball early, but his second half defensive efforts, especially that last one in the dying moments where he injured his arm, I thought he was so important to the game. Settling into his new club, he kicked his first goal for us as well. Really good performance from our new wingman. There are plenty unlucky not to get votes. Obviously, Nick Martin is one of them. I thought he was the 4th best on ground, 44 touches. Really great performance. I just thought the guys I mentioned were better. Stringer and Langford were awesome. Mackay was huge. Even Caldwell was up there. A few really good players. Let me know what you think down below. Leave your votes and role player. I think we're probably going to be a bit different to each other this week, unlike rounds 1 and 2, unfortunately. Just an impossible task to list off the 3 best players from a game with so many disposal getters and individual brilliance. That's all though. Review done. Always fun after a win. Port Adelaide Friday night next week. Might have to use my sick leave to get work off for that one. Worth it though. It's going to be a big game. Both teams are 2-1 leading into it. Dersma and Zerk Thatcher. Obviously, it's expected to be a belter like last year in front of a big crowd. Preview out Wednesday. We'll announce the votes from this game then. Like the video if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and go Bombers.